are listening to the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, and life-giving relationships. Why focus on relationships? Because the quality of our intimate partnerships and close connections influences our health, happiness, and longevity more than anything else in our lives. Relationships matter a lot, so together, let's jump into the mud, aka our messy relationships, pull some weeds, plant some seeds, and create an enriching environment where strong relationships can take root. I am your grateful host, Dara Posner. I am a relational disaster working toward relational mastery. I am also a positive psychology coach, a relational mindset coach, a blogger, and now a podcaster. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, life-giving relationships. If you are a fan of this podcast, please subscribe, follow, like, review, and share. Your engagement in this way is crucial to the success of the podcast, and I appreciate you taking just a few seconds to support my mission, which is to help people like you flourish in life and love. Today on the Embrace the Mud podcast, we are in a series called Essential Relationship Skills, and we're talking about the things we all need to be able to do in our relationships in order to maximize the potential for connection and intimacy. We are setting the series up by focusing on foundational skills first. Yesterday, we addressed self-awareness, and today we are talking about emotion regulation. Emotion regulation is the part of emotional intelligence that is the ability to manage our own emotions, particularly our really intense, difficult emotions. When we have good emotional regulation, we control our feelings. Our feelings do not control us. Why is emotion regulation important in relationships, and how do you cultivate this skill? That is our topic for today, so let's dive in. We've all heard phrases like lashing out, being reactive, spiraling out, and losing it. What all these phrases have in common is that they all refer to the result of a loss of emotional control. Now, everyone will react or lash out from time to time. I think we all experience an overwhelm or buildup of emotions that will sometimes get the best of us. Emotion regulation is a skill that needs attention when reactivity, losing one's cool, or becoming emotionally dysregulated are a pattern in someone's life or in a relationship. That's when it becomes a problem that really needs to be addressed. When our intense emotions become so strong that we cannot control our own behavior, we usually end up saying and doing things that hurt both ourselves and our partner or other people. And certainly, we can do quite a bit of damage to the sense of safety and stability in our relationships when we have a habit of emotionally becoming dysregulated. When we are emotionally dysregulated, the rational part of our brain shuts down, and we are then operating purely in survival mode. This makes us exclusively self-focused because we're perceiving our partner or whoever might be involved in whatever triggered us as a threat. And we don't have the ability to concern ourselves in those moments with their needs and their welfare. We don't feel safe when we're dysregulated, and we are usually not really safe to be around at those times. So what does emotional dysregulation look like? In a triggered moment, it can look like an overreaction to a situation or stimuli and might involve crying, sobbing, yelling, screaming, stomping, door slamming, self-harming, and it can escalate in extreme cases like where maybe reactivity is being met with reactivity from someone else to verbal and physical violence. In general, it can look like high anxiety, perfectionism, depression, substance abuse, impulsivity, suicidal thoughts, and other things as well. People who struggle with emotion regulation essentially have a very low tolerance for emotional stressors and have not yet developed strategies for managing the onset of these rapid and intense feeling states that come over them when they're triggered. Emotion regulation is most commonly caused by trauma because of how trauma impacts the brain and nervous system. And it's also a key feature of a number of different mental health conditions and psychiatric disorders. I personally think that anyone who struggles with emotion regulation and who suffers it in any way could do well to seek professional support if possible, or at the very least, learn what you can do about it and get some tools in place to help yourself. But it's certainly not something that I think should go ignored or unattended to. Some things that have helped me a lot as a childhood trauma survivor that has struggled with this issue my entire life, having a mindfulness practice has been incredible in helping me become self-attuned and aware of my emotions, being able to notice and name them as they arrive so that I can hold them and feel them and soothe myself through them without becoming reactive. Journaling has also been a really great tool for helping me get in touch with myself and my feelings and understanding them. And ultimately getting familiar with my triggers and the stories and beliefs underneath them that have gotten kicked up in those moments, and doing the work in calm moments around challenging those beliefs and stories so that when they get triggered again, it's easier to recognize what is happening for me and remember that work that I've done around them. But the most effective thing that I have done to help myself with emotion regulation has been to do inner child and reparenting work, which is a way of nurturing and tending to the emotional needs, the unmet emotional needs of the young, wounded part of oneself, and healing and integrating that part. You can Google inner child work or reparenting to learn more about what that is and how to do it for yourself, or to find a professional who can guide you in it. Okay, so emotion regulation is a critical relational skill that enables you to feel intense emotions without lashing out or reacting in hurtful or harmful ways. And it means that you can instead pause and contain those intense emotions and then respond appropriately. If you're partnered with or close to someone who struggles with emotion regulation, first and foremost, remember not to take it personally, which I know can be hard to do, especially because a lot of the behavior that can be associated with these dysregulated moments can be quite hurtful. If someone's like lashing out at you. It helps me when I'm dealing with someone who's dysregulated to remember that there are two types of behavior. There are acts of love and there are cries for help. Try to remember that the dysregulated person is in pain and they haven't yet developed the capacity to manage that pain constructively. You can help calm them and regulate them by learning what they need to hear in those moments to help them calm down. Usually statements that reassure them of your love, your care, and of your commitment to them can really help soothe them and help them regulate faster. Something as simple as like, hey, I'm on your side. I'm here for you. We're on the same team. Or just offering validation and empathy for their feelings. So emotion regulation is the second skill. It's a foundational skill. When we struggle to regulate our emotions, it's really, really hard to develop, some of the other skills that we're going to be talking about. So I hope you found this helpful. Obviously, I'm doing, bite-sized episodes on all of these different topics. And so, this is a bigger one that if it's a struggle for you, certainly please use this as a springboard to go and do more research and to learn how to help yourself with this or to get some support in doing that. But yes, emotional regulation, critical relational skill, being able to manage our own emotions well. And in a future episode, we will be talking about co-regulation and how to help manage each other's emotions in moments where, there's painful things that are coming up, in conflict and things like that. So I hope this helps. And I will be back here tomorrow with another essential relationship skill. And in the meantime, please remember, you are wired for love and connection. You are capable of love and connection. You are worthy of love and connection.